I'm Jim Collison, and this is the Wellbeing at Work with CliftonStrengths podcast recorded on January 13th, 2022. In this CliftonStrengths podcast, we'll look at the strengths, insight, and action planning items from Appendix 1 in the Gallup at Work. I'm at the Gallup book, Wellbeing at Work, one theme at a time. Today's theme is context. If you're listening live, love you to join us in our chat room. There's a link right above us there. If you want to jump in there, you can put your questions there in chat. Or if you have questions after the fact, maybe you're listening to this as a podcast, send us an email, coaching@gallup.com. Dr. Jacqueline Robinson is our host today. She works as a Gallup Learning and Development Consultant and was the primary contributor to Appendix 1 in the Wellbeing at Work book. And Jacqueline, congratulations on that. I'm always proud to say that for you. It's great to see you, and welcome back.
Thank you, sir.
We are spending some time talking about context.
We're talking about context.
Give me the definition of context.
Okay. So if we think about context, someone high in context enjoys thinking about the past. They understand the past by researching its history. We often think of this individual as really that person that's in the driver's seat looking in the rearview mirror, but still driving forward. I think that's important to note too.
For me, I mentioned I envy this theme, and I think why it's not higher is because I often take it negative. I use it as remember when we did this and it didn't work?
No, Jim.
Yes,
They're like, no, stop.
I'm sure that's why it's a little bit lower, but let's spend a little time. How does it relate to you? And then how does it relate to others?
Yeah. So some thoughts I have here. How it relates to you. When you understand the background information of the topic at hand, you likely feel more informed and able to converse with the individual you're speaking with or to take action on the project that you're involved in. How it relates to others, due to the innate interest, I can't speak today, team. Due to the innate interest in understanding the history of what or who came prior, I think individuals can frequently count on this person to pull in additional context, quite literally, related to the subject matter or that individual.
I'm going to lean on you heavy for this one because I have no idea how context relates to well-being. I think this is one of those we're going to kind of learn together. So how does context look when it's thriving and when it's struggling? Then we'll spend a little bit of time thinking about the well-being element.
Yes, this one's fun. Thriving, this person tends to thrive firstly when they have information to base their decision making and conversations off of. And secondly, when others understand and respect the past and how that informs the present moment. I think those two are really almost go hand in hand in terms of thriving. It's when other people also respect history and what came before, it can be it's kind of like that sigh of relief, like, okay, they are remembering what's happened previously.
Yeah, it's kind of like what I said early on is like we don't learn, we never learn. You know, we've done this before, we never learn. And yet there is a balance with context, I think, at times that sometimes the situation changes. We've been all in those teams with someone with high context, and and it may take an approach like that we never learn. We've done this before. We've tried it. That doesn't work. I think that has to be balanced with. I think situations change sometimes, and we need to we kind of need to think through that, challenge ourselves, those who have high context, to say, okay, I know that happened that way in the past, but are all the conditions exactly the same today? Or even spin that a little more positive to say, I know this is the way it happened in the past. How can I take the best of that and still apply it to us moving forward and not throw that in people's faces? Right? Not be someone to say, well, we can't do that because it's been tried and it can never be done that way.
Yes.
And I think folks with context, especially in these areas of well-being, and I'm going to ask you for an example here just in a second, where we're in a world that's kind of different. And I think there's some opportunities to rethink and learn, maybe even learn from the past. So let's look at an example. In appendix 1, we can kind of break this down by theme and best practices for this theme of context by one of our elements of well-being. Jacqueline, what do you have for us?
I'm taking it to the financial well-being piece. So I'm telling you, I had so much fun with this theme. But from a financial perspective, Take the long view on how investments have performed over time, from stocks to real estate to the extraordinary power of compounding interest. So, whether this is you or whether you know someone with this theme, you could coach yourself or you could coach them to use this talent to see where spending and investing have worked or gone wrong in the past. Um, yeah, that's one of those themes. I wanted to select financial for this one because it's just one we might not think about.
Yeah.
So we might automatically want to shift to career, and I think we cover that quite well in our series. And even with our context, I was like, I'm gonna go to financial this time. I'm gonna surprise us all.
Well, I think it's really, really important. This is an area where this is why I like it, is because if ever we're going to write a book, and I never will, because
Hmm.
I don't want to. It's just too much work. Let's just be really clear.
I like you put it out there, and
It's just
then
too much
no,
work.
I
But I'd
won't.
write a book on cycles, and I think in the financial space, we continue to see these cycles.
Hmm.
In not you, but I've been around long enough that I saw the .com cycle. I saw
Yes.
what we went through in '08 with the financial crisis, what we're seeing right now. And I think it kind of helps for someone who has high context to be able to say, look, we've been through this or something similar before.
Hmm.
Here's what you can do financially right now to set yourself up for success in coming out of this. A lot of
Yes.
folks will say, well, we don't know we're going to come out. Well, if we don't come out of this, we have bigger problems. If we do, there's probably some things that you could set yourself up for and be ready for from a financial well-being perspective to
Hmm.
just put yourself in a little bit better light, to be a little bit more comfortable. Our CFO at Gallup often says cash equals options. And so, sometimes it's great to kind of think, well, maybe I need to increase the context is during these times, maybe I increase my savings, right? To
Hmm.
make sure that I am secure and comfortable to be able to make great
Yes.
decisions, right? So I love that
Yes.
idea of context being a driver in that. You want to add anything else to that before we move on?
Oh, well done. Well said.
We have four other of those elements in that part of the book. A great tool to use when you're coaching and to work through that. So you can find that in the back of the Wellbeing at Work book. So Jacqueline, with this idea context in mind, how can we really use it to support others?
Well, if you are a manager or you're leading a team, you can help people connect their contributions to the goals of the team or mission of the company by addressing the successes the team has had in the past and how that's really set them on course for a brighter future. So, one way that you can infuse your interest in the past with mission and purpose and goals. If you're on a team, you can help ground the team with reason and pragmatism when ideas or suggestions are made that do not take into consideration past implementations. In turn, you can help them avoid recreating the wheel or even falling victim to some prior errors that were made. And then I think as an individual, when life feels uncertain or anxiety starts to creep up, check in with your day to day routine. Is
Mm,
there a task somewhere in there that, with additional context or insight, would bring more confidence and certainty to your life?
mhm.
That might be that missing need that hasn't been fulfilled, and you haven't quite hit the nail on the head as to where it's coming from.
I love this idea as an individual of using context to build habits.
Mhm.
So, like, what's worked in the past
Mhm.
that I know I can go to as an individual that I know works for me.
Yes.
There's a lot of context in that, right?
Yes.
This idea of what's worked in the past. What
30-day calendar even,
Yeah. No, I mean,
where you
I
can look
love that. I
back.
think those who have, especially in their area of well-being, and then can begin to, by the way, it's hard to help others with their well-being when
Mhm.
when your well-being is suffering. And so sometimes we kind of need folks to kind of, get in there, get healthy so that we can help others along with it. I think context is one of those where it gives us this safe look, or it can be a safe look at the past,
Mhm.
to say what were the lessons, what was the best of that we can pull out and then modify to move forward. Like, what does that
Agreed.
look like today? We mentioned the financial sector, the financial markets, very different today than they were in 2000. Very different. Um, that doesn't mean we can't pull some things out of that as we think about comfort and security and the way doing that. In Appendix 2, we have a framework that we can kind of work through, 3 points on that. Jacqueline, work us through those 3 points. Ask yourself, ask your team, and then take action. Walk us through one of those exercises from Appendix 2.
Yes, you've got it. So ask yourself, what can I do today that will have a positive influence on my long-term financial goals? Going right back to that financial well-being piece. Ask your team members, what physical well-being obstacles do we encounter at work? And then I've added this in parentheses, what's worked in the past to support well-being as one way that you can start to create new habits in the workplace.
Mm-hmm.
Take action. At the end of the day, pause and appreciate your accomplishments. So it's a helpful reminder of how those accomplishments are setting you up for success tomorrow.
I had in pre-show, I had a big project that I was working on today, big project. And I knew from context, if I didn't get it done today, I was going to hate myself. Like I just need, so I really heads down, 8 hours, heads down, plowed through it. It's going to be a long day.
Gosh,
It's been
that's
a
a
long
long
couple
time.
days. Yeah, but it was so great from a well-being standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
I told you, like, I just got after it today, and that made me feel good. I was pumped for this session, even though it's late. We're doing it late.
Yes.
So contextually, or using some context, I was like, I know I am every day this drags on is the propensity for me to get this done is going to get smaller and smaller and smaller because of
Know your
context, right?
talents, know
Yeah.
yourself, right? You're
Well,
like,
no,
I'm
right
doing
on.
it.
Right on. And I think those with context have that ability to do that even better and then help others. By the way, I think I've said this, but I've never really phrased it this way. I think when we have these themes high,
Mm-hmm.
right? We're great at it. We have this natural ability, but I also think it sets us up to be able to help others better with it, right?
Yes.
I'm not sure I'm going to ever be a scholar on discipline, consistency, or maybe even context, what we're talking about, because they're super low. But there are others who have it super high. It's almost an obligation, I think, in some regards, to say, how are you using this talent for others, right?
Yes.
So, anything
A
else?
real sign of maturity with our themes too, when it's
Yeah,
not just about how is it useful for me, but how is it useful for
right.
others.
I love that. I love that. We've said that a lot in season 6 of Theme Thursday. If you want to go back and listen to
Yeah.
those, but Jacqueline, thanks for coming out today to be part of this. With that, we'll
So fun.
remind everyone to take full advantage of all the resources we have available in Gallup Access. Head to gallup.com/CliftonStrengths. Sign in there, hit the resources tab. If you need information about coaching, master coaching, or want to become a Gallup certified strengths coach, we do that as well. You can send us an email, coaching@gallup.com. Stay up to date on all these webcasts. If you want to know, like, we don't do them at the same time. We're doing these late because we're trying to do them in the same time for folks that are in Asia. Follow us, gallup.eventbrite.com, and stay up to date on all the webcasts that are going on. We're not slowing down. We're kind of speeding
Mm-hmm.
up. So make sure you're up to date on that. Follow us on any social platform just by searching Clifton Strengths. And if you haven't, in your podcast app, you should be subscribed to us, or on YouTube subscribed, so you never miss an episode. We want to thank you for being here today. If you want to stay around for a little bit, if you're listening live, stay around for a little bit of post show. With that, we'll say goodbye, everybody.